Hey there, welcome to Drew Bentley Guitar. Today, let's take a look at how I use the Fractal FM9 for live situations and for teaching. I started this layout of how to use the scenes and presets, etc. With the AXFX3 about 5 years ago, and I've been using this ever since, and kind of makes a lot of sense. Hopefully it'll be helpful for anybody who plays a lot of variety type gigs to have this layout yourself, and you can kind of take advantage of all the stuff that Fractal has to offer with these unbelievable units. So I'm doing the Oh My God 9 thing, I think it's called. When you set up the FM9, you have two different options. You can do Oh My God 9, or there's another one too. I didn't even bother to do that because this is what I wanted. Across the top, I have presets, effects, and scenes. So there's nothing unique about that. What I'm doing is I have dialed in 32 different amplifiers that I can use live, plus acoustic sound. So if you go to presets here, see it says Live 1 2024. I'm gonna have to change that soon. It's almost 2025 now. Live 2, Live 3, Live 4, and then Live Acoustic. So let's say I'm on Live 1. If I push scenes, this scene is always gonna be some kind of Fender amp. So in this case, it's a Vibrolux. So I've got that dialed in. If I go to the next scene, this is always some kind of boutique amp. In this case, it's a matchless. I think it's the DC30. This is a great jazz amp. This is pretty my go-to amp for jazz. And it's just so smooth and creamy and clean. The next scene, I always have some kind of Vox sound. So this would be like for the Beatles songs, or any kind of songs that utilize a Vox. And so that's always on that scene is going to be some kind of Vox sound. So the next one, this train wreck, I think it's the Express. This is going to be my sort of low gain Marshall sound for songs that need like that kind of sound. So that's kind of a crunchy rhythm sound. Pushing more, I get to this column. This is always some sort of like rock rhythm sound. I guess we'll call it. This is the Britt Brown amp. This is the Van Halen sound in a box. Of course, it's going to be in D flat or D sharp or E flat for that in the real world. Here I have a 5150. Now I try to mix and match the cabinets and the microphones to make them pretty much the same throughout the whole thing. So there's not like one amp setting that has like 4 cabs and one has 1 cab. I try to keep everything sort of even to take it easy on the sound man, so it's not that varied. I'm using the same type of microphone across the board too. It's a ribbon mic sound, so that there's some continuity to some of this, so it doesn't sound vastly different, but it's still different. And you can also level all of these as well. There's a way to level them so you can get them all to be the same volume, which is really helpful for live situations. So the next scene is a lead sound. This is a high watt, so think kind of David Gilmour. And then the next one I have in this particular preset, the Steve Vai sound, the Legacy. I like that one a lot too. I use all these. And of course you go to effects and then you can mix and match all of that, add the drive pedal and chorus flanger or whatever. That's not unique. What's cool about this though is having these amplifiers set up in these different spots. So now we're going to go to Live 2. Here's a Fender double verb, that's the twin. Right, so if I'm doing like a Prince kind of song, like Purple Rain kind of thing, that's going to be like that sound, and it's crystal clear. One of the things that's really neat about Fractal is that you get to know all the characteristics of the different amplifiers. In the regular world, you maybe have 1 or 2 amps for your whole entire career. Like before I had Fractal, I have the Car Slant 6V and this Fuchs ODS behind me. And those are the 2 amps I use to record a bunch of different albums. Well, one of the 2 for a couple albums and the other 2 for the most recent album that I made. Once I got into Fractal, it was interesting. Now you can become familiar with the timbres of all these different amp families. I think there's like 305 or 12 amps now. Well, granted, there are different variations of the same thing, but getting to know the families, the Marshall family, the Vox family, the Mesa Boogie family, the Fender family, all the different boutique amps, and getting to know the characteristics of those, you can start hearing that in the recordings. You know, if somebody was using a small amp or a bigger amp, if it's a lunchbox size amp, if it's it's amazing. And I can see that the timbre of these amplifiers is really where it's at. It's yes, there are different manufacturers and there's different tubes involved and all the different things we know about. But basically, it comes down to timbre. Like if you're a classical composer and you had a particular note or phrase that you wanted to give to the orchestra, you could give it to the brass or the woodwinds or the strings, and you're going to get the same pitch, but the timbre is dramatically different. Much like on the guitar, when we change strings, the thickness of strings, you get different timbres as well, which is why all the knobs and switches on the guitar, this guitar has 24 different switches and sounds, 24 sounds, I should say, 2 push, pull, and 2 different toggle switches that I can change everything. So that really goes well with this. But I started using amplifiers the way that people would use pedals traditionally, which I think is pretty an amazing thing. Especially for a live situation where you can really fit the song that you're playing and be inside of that song and sound proper for the song, not just in the right ballpark, but really sound like the recording. And also on the other side of things for teaching. So when a kid brings in a song to learn, I can dial in the sound that I hear on the recording and get pretty close with these 32 amps I have dialed in here. At some point when I have some free time, which is never, maybe I'll put another 32 amps in, have live 5, 6, 7, and 8, for example. And then I can have even more stuff to mess around with. So the second column is going to be boutique again. So that's where I have the Robin Ford kind of overdrive supreme bluesy sound. Now here I have the Zen drive married to that, because that's kind of a match made in heaven, those 2 sounds. So that's just something I could do all day long. Let's go back to scenes again. Again, back to our Vox sound. Here's an AC15. So it's a little bit of a different take, but it's the same timbre, isn't it? I like to try to have the same amount of drive set up too. That one's a little cleaner maybe than I might like, but I like having everything with a little bit of just a little bit of drive for the live sound. Too clean doesn't necessarily sound great live. This is the JTM 45. This is like your Jimi Hendrix sounding Marshall sound, and it's really beautiful. Such a great tone for playing your Jimmy stuff, right? I'm always messing around with these, and if I don't like that, you can set these up with these live settings where you can change parameters. I don't remember exactly what it's called. It's Perform tab or something, and you can have that programmed to whatever you want it to, whether it's the volume of it, the tone, the treble, the bass, the mids. You can do that with effects too, and get in there and fine tune these things as you're tweaking them playing live, so you can really mix and match and make everything work. Push more. This column is the Atomica. That apparently has a flanger attached to it right now. And then here, Mesa Boogie. This is the most Santana sounding sound I have, I think. This is... So put on the gain pedal. There it is right there. Now I have it set up, if I push the reverb, then I get a preamp boost. You can put the preamp boost in any pedal you choose. I tried to marry everything, including the wah-wah pedals, with what I think is the most realistic that would go with that particular amp family in the real world. So the preamp's going to have a few dBs louder for live. So if you're playing live and you're not cutting through and you want to solo, and hit that reverb button for me, and then it's a little louder. Back to scenes again. This is a 2-rock. So this guy's, I put this in the solo section. It's sort of still kind of the Dumble sound. Incredible sounding. Any one of these would be good for a career, right? You could just do this one amp forever. Here's a Mesa Boogie Mark IV, and this is my Metallica sound. Now it's going to sound better if I put the Rat pedal on. Actually, it is on there, so this is without it. So I just listen to Metallica songs and try to find their tone and keep tweaking that. Now I know they play a lot cleaner than that. There's not a lot of reverb and delay and stuff when they're playing, but I like that. What I do when I play live is, or actually all the time, I have 2 different delays going on. For example, let's go to a different, better amp to illustrate this. If I go back here to the matchless, lots of button pushing here going on. So this is a kind of a clean, dry sound. Here's some reverb, nice reverb. Again, you can pick and choose whatever you want. Of course, I like the high res of everything, and everything's in stereo because that's better. Stereo is always better. And then here's the delay. Of course, the tap tempo. It looks like the compressor's on here as well. If I push this button down on the delay, now I have the multi-delay. And I set that up with a 16th note pattern. This one happens to go T, tippy ta ta, tippy ti ta. And it's going T, tippy ta ta, tippy ti ta. I'm using the Line 6 Power Cab 212 Plus, which has, I have it set to a 270-degree stereo spread. So when you're playing live, you're going to be able to get the whole audience to spray with that nice sound. And it's really cool if you're using like a rotary or something, because it definitely goes around the whole room. So back to scenes again. We were on the second preset for live. And you can see that, well, actually, we've gone through all that. Let's go to the third now. And then this is my Fender amp again. This is the Bassman. And I have the mids completely rolled off. And this is the sound I use for live dance songs. It's the best dance sounding amp probably ever. So that's always good to go, and they definitely have a compressor set on that. If you go to more effects, you can see the compressor sitting there. He's yellow. And then Dr. Z, so there's the country sound. You're looking for the country sound. Again, it's boutique right there. So if I'm playing like... I guess I have a little bit of drive on there too. It's at the edge of breakup. I'd rather have it at the edge of breakup and then just roll back a little bit for live. Than not. So if you're playing, and you want to go, there you go. So you got enough little grit there to make that work. This is another Vox sound. This is a train wreck. Forgive me for not remembering the name of it, but this one, so I think it's a Liverpool. That's what it is, Liverpool, yeah. This has, again, a Voxy kind of sound to it. So it's got enough of a... Beatles kind of sound to it. Bad Cat. I just happen to like this one a lot. This is probably the best sounding blues amp in the entire Fractal world. So that's a cool sound. And then more, we got the Cameron CCV. Again, this is in the rock rhythm section. Back to effects again. And this is your... So I find this works well for just about any rock song you're doing. That's a cool sound for that. And then this column is always some kind of rock rhythm again. Here's a Friedman. That's the HBE. Marshall Silver Jubilee. I like this amp. I'm still trying to figure out what to do with it. It's kind of a unique sound. Again, the timbre is just a little weird, but I do like it. Steve Morse used this once on a tour, and I saw it on stage. I thought, if Steve Morse is using it, it's got to be okay. Here's the Marshall Super Lead, and this is the 100% like your slash sound. Now, I can't dial in everything. I'd like to get some of the 80s Marshall sounds dialed in too. Maybe the next batch of these I do. And another Fender, I guess first column again, Fender Tweed. This is the Eric Clapton Tweed that's in the unit. Very good Eric Clapton sound. So, very intimate sounding. So there's that. And then Roland Jazz Chorus. Now I should have this Roland Jazz Chorus next door to the Metallica Mesa Boogie Mark IV. Actually, that needs chorus to sound. It's on there. This is as Metallica as it gets. What's funny is I did not know that Metallica used this amp. And then when I got this, I had a Roland Jazz Chorus back in the day, and I'll tell you what, this sounds exactly like the real thing. AC-15, this is a Morgan AC-15. So again, right timbre, different sound. This is a JTM 45 jumped, and this is the Jimmy sound. I have it married with a fuzz pedal. So for all my Jimmy stuff. Of course, I have the Crybaby for this one. So that's that. And I can find these in the dark with my eyes closed at this point. Orange Terrier. This is as close to Led Zeppelin as I can find. So it's a single coil. Very, very Led Zeppelin-y sounding amp. And then again, Lone Star. These are the rock rhythm sounds. Lone Star. It's a great sounding amp. Here's a Bogner. The Bogner is maybe my favorite lead sound of all. Think Steve Lukather. It's just super, super creamy. Apparently have a tremolo on that for the moment for some reason. I saved it like that. And then last but not least, at the moment, I have this PRS Arch on, and I think this might be my favorite amp on the entire thing. Hard to say why that would be. It's not even a very famous amp or anything. It's great for the fast stuff. It's really, really clean. Love the sound of that amp. Now, beyond this, if I go to live acoustic, I got these from Austin Buddy a long time ago. I don't have to bring my acoustic guitar anymore. Strum and pick setting. Strumming setting. 80s chorus sounding. 12 string. Then a brighter 12 string. This is crazy wet acoustic. And then I have a couple distortion sounds set up. There's a Mesa Boogie and a Lone Star. Guess that one I have to level out better. But those are there, so if I'm playing acoustic and I want to have a distortion sound, it's in that proper preset. So basically the idea is to have your preset be 8 different amplifiers, not 8 different levels of the same amp. Fender sound, Boutique, Vox, low gain Marshall, rock rhythm, solo, solo. Go to the second one, same thing happens again. Go to Fender sound, Boutique, Vox, low gain Marshall, rhythm, solo, solo, etc., etc. And like I said, I have 32 amps dialed in. I'd like to do 4 more of these and have, I guess, even more options. But I can organically just reach for different sounds now. When I'm playing live, I know what I'm reaching for. The same way you might know which color pencil or pen you want to use, or I'm not really a painter, I guess. If you're painting, you're looking for a specific color to paint. It's really opened up my entire world with understanding the timbre of different amplifiers. Much like a guitar, all the guitars behind me on the wall there for recording, they all have different purposes for the different food groups of guitar sounds. I got this Anderson guitar because it has every sound I could ever want within reason on one guitar with all the push, pull knobs and stuff. You can have every combination possible. So that's really goes well with this as well. So I did just get the VP4, and I'm going to do a video about how I infused the VP4 into this ecosystem. So make sure you stick around and check that one out. All right, thanks so much for checking out the video. Have fun rocking out with your Fractal stuff, and please leave comments in the comment section if you have any questions, concerns, or you just want to tell me what you do with your Fractal stuff. All right, thanks so much.